back to my channel, Refuge Tea, here with my granny's closet. How is everybody doing today? I am very tired because I was up all night. Well, not all night. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but I was up trying to sew panels together, and yeah. So, but today's video is going to be quick, short, and sweet because I do have just a small amount of time to talk about this subject before I got to take my son to school this morning, which is pricing your items when it comes to your vendor events, your farmer's market, whether you're selling on Etsy or whether you're selling on Facebook like I do, or wherever you're selling your homemade, handmade products from. But before we get into today's video, let's get into some admin and intro stuff. Before we do admin and intro, you guys, I just wanted to pop in here really quick and remind everybody I am ADHD. If you couldn't tell, I do move quite a bit. I've moved my hands. It is hard for me to stay still and to focus on one subject. So if I go on tangents, if I'm moving and swinging my arms around, if I pick something up, that is the reason why. So I just wanted to give that little disclaimer and warning for you guys. Let us get back to some admin and intro stuff. If you don't know, now you know. You can find me on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook, all underneath my Granny's Closet 3Gs. If you're interested in purchasing any of the items that I do make and sell from my farmer's market, you can head over to my Facebook page. That is where I have all my prices, my listings of the pictures, and how I do shipping and the like. So if you are interested in purchasing or just browsing all the things that I do sell, you can head on over there. Not to be confused with my group page, which is my Granny's Closet 3Gs. No spaces, just add the S at the end. That is where we go to congregate and conversate about all things yarny and crafty goodness. If you have a question about a vendor event, if you have one coming up, if you have a question about a project that you're working on, go ahead and ask those questions there. We just ask that you don't post pictures of a paid-for pattern. If you are new here, a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me today. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you guys. You have no idea. You're amazing. I do look forward to reading your comments. Thank you for coming back if you're a returning subscriber and taking another chance on me. And thank you if you are new for taking a chance on this kurukurupa crazy loca lady over here.
T-shirt on the day.
All right, you guys, we got Mr. Flash. But this ain't just any Flash, okay? This is Grant Gustin's Flash from the CW series. I don't say WB. Forgive me. I'm old school. All right? I can't lift my leg that high. I tried. I almost got a cramp. All right. So I got my Ruby baby. Here are my Puma kits, girl. They just screamed Flash. So when I saw these Puma sales, I was just like, yep, they're coming home with me. Amazing. I do have a sweater that matches this. So actually this is the outfit. I have my Puma sweatpants on right now, my black and white ones, or my black ones with the white Puma symbol. This is the outfit that I will be wearing on the airplane ride when I go finally to my Rhinebeck travels. I need to be comfortable. All right, you guys, let's get into today's video. Pricing. It is always difficult for me personally, and I know from the comments of other people when I told you guys that I was going to do this pricing video, that it is difficult for you to stay on the subject of money as well. So I know for me it is a difficult and a sort of sensitive subject for me. I know that if somebody tells me, hey, remind me that I owe you this, or remind me that I have to pay for that, it's difficult for me to be like, don't forget, or hey, I'm just, you know, and I kind of approach it like, hey, I'm sorry, you know, and it's all jumbled, and it's hard for me to approach the subject. So I know how difficult this is for me to talk about, but you guys have asked for it, so I'm going to do it. Now, there are several different ways that you can price your items. I have done several different ways to price my items, and I've done it the not earning any money way. Let me explain that. Not earning any money way is that you're just like, you look at the item that you made and you'd be like, oh, I think this is worth $12. It's not, it's worth $20. I have done that. Now, when I first started out, I wasn't really pricing my items to, you know, it was just like, hey, how much would you pay for this? And the person would be like, oh, I'd do this. So I'd take a collective, toll, and I'd price it at an average price, provide it with my collective tolls. This is what I mean, all right? If I made a twisted turban wrap, so it's one of those ear warmers, twisted in the middle. I think Lisa from Happy Decorations makes those a lot right now. If I made those, I would only charge $10 for one of those. And I thought like, oh, that's expensive when I first started out. Now, mind you, this is about 12, 13 years ago. The cost of living wasn't quite so detrimental at that time. So pricing my items at $10, I was thinking that it was a lot of money, 10 years ago, yes, it probably was a lot of money, but now it's doubled the price. Now I can sell my twisted turban wraps for at least $20, okay? At least $20. And people are willing to pay that. Now, comparing aside, I would just be like, oh, this is worth this is worth that. Now, I would make these Ninja Turtle beanies. It had the stripe down the middle, and then I would sew felt eyes on it, glue, and then sew them on there. And they were super popular. And I was charging people $15 per beanie. And I thought that was super expensive. I even had a dad come up and be like, I want one of each. How much are they? And I would be like, oh, they're $15. And he'd be like, well, do you think they're worth $15? And I was just so taken aback by his question that I was like, yes. Like, it wasn't a definitive, like, yes, they are worth it. I wasn't confident in my craft. It was a question more than an answer. And he leaned in and he was like, are you sure? And I was like, I can't, if you're buying 4. And then I started to compromise. See, he got me to start the haggle. And I wasn't, learning then. So with those experiences, I learned not to be the haggler because the person is being more assertive than I am with pricing. You have to stand your ground. Stand your ground when it comes to your individual prices. Don't take back your price and don't offer a discount before they're willing to pay the full price. Now, if you feel bad, if somebody's like, it's my birthday today. Oh, happy birthday. That's it. They're not worth the cost of you, losing money because you have a living to make too. So learn that lesson here early on before you start doing. Don't haggle first. Don't allow a discount. Your prices are definitive because it all comes down to, you guys, this is what it all comes down to, all right? What are you worth? What do you think you're worth? How much are you willing to pay yourself per hour? Before we get into that point, let us get into the next way of pricing. Now, the one other way that I started pricing as well before I came to my final way of pricing is that I would go on Etsy. I would talk to my friend Andrea. We would be like, okay, let's see how much this is. Let's see how much that is. And I still do that once in a blue moon. I still look up listings to see the average pricing of how much people are charging, because I don't want to be that one person that's charging an astronomical amount. But I'll give you an example of one person that I do look up to when it comes to pricing, because this person in particular prices their items, I'd say, about what they think they're worth and what their product is worth. Rose from Rose Likes Crochet. Have you guys ever been to her Etsy shop? She has the most amazing prices. They're fair. And I respect her pricing because she knows what she's worth. So you can go to Etsy and you can take a collective, average of what everybody is pricing that same item that you have created. And you can come to an average point in cost for that item. That is one way to do it as well. Now, this next way of doing it is comparing yourself to big markets. Now, it's difficult to do that because places like, places that have crafting items, say Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, Target, those bigger, stores and those commercial stores that are now starting to sell crochet and knitted items. The difference is that we do it by hand by ourselves. Now, whether we have a line of friends and family that do help us get those things put together, we do it from home. It's not factory made. Now, they are factory made. My grandmother and my great-grandmother, whom I was named after, they used to work in a factory, and they would sit there. I think I've told this story before, you guys, where they would sit there and they would crochet for an hour and just get these sweaters crocheted and knocked out like that. Now, that was back in the day. Now we're in 2023. We don't do that anymore as far as big superstores where they're concerned. But for us in particular, we cannot compare ourselves so that we can be like, oh, they're pricing it at this item. All right, then I have to do it at this price, because if they can buy it there, they're not willing to buy it from me. Now, that's not necessarily true, okay? Me, for an example, I sell a lot of the same items that the people sell at, say, Walmart, Kohl's, Target, you know? People are willing to pay the price that I'm charging because they know that I have made it handmade. Know what you're worth, you guys. Know what you're worth. The next way to price your items is by leaving something out, okay? Leaving something out. So you grab all the products and all of the supplies that you use to make it, your hook, your yarn, any accessories or necessities or hardware that you use within that project. You collect it all, you add it all together, and you divide it with how many items that you can get individually out of all your supplies. For example, my scrunchies. I use Bernay velvet yarn, and we all know that Bernay velvet yarn is $12.99 at Joann's, and it's a stuck price in my head because I constantly purchase this item. I also purchase the elastics on Amazon. I buy them in bulk, and they come in a pack, I think, of 100 or 200. I'm not sure. I'll put the pricing right here. And then I'll post the link down below if you guys are interested. So I can get a completed of 4 regular size scrunchies and 3 XL scrunchies. I can get that completed. Now there's some left over so that I can start on a 4th XL, but we're talking about completed items here. So I know that I can get at least 7 scrunchies out of one skein of $12.99 Bernay velvet yarn. I'm going to add all that up, divide it up between each scrunchie. Now my large XL scrunchies are $9 each, and my regular size are $6 each. And I'll let you know how I come to that conclusion in just a second. But that is sometimes how people do that. And then so they come to the conclusion that, okay, so my supplies cost this much, I can get that much, and my scrunchie is going to be $3. You can do that. That is, I've done that before. But again, you guys, what are you worth? What are you worth? Now, let's talk about this, you guys. Let's get into the what are you worth. Now, the hard pill here to swallow is a friend of mine asked me this question because I was just like, I'm pricing it at this. Well, how much did you pay for all your items? This much. Okay, so we did all of that. She helped me reduce, divide, subtract, add, and come to the conclusion of how much the item is worth, the way that I just gave you a previous example. Then her next question kind of blew my socks off, and it was just like, oh, it was just like I stood there for several seconds, and I just kind of stood quiet, and it was a rare moment for me because you guys know it's hard for me to just be like, it shocked the bejesus out of me, all right? She asked me this question. What are you worth? And that's the question that I've been asking you guys throughout this whole video is, what do you think you're worth? What are you worth? And I was just like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean by what are you worth? She was like, well, Refuge, what are you willing to pay yourself per hour? She goes, when you get a regular job, they pay you per hour, correct? I said, yeah. And she goes, but what are they paying you for? I was just like, for me to work for them. She was like, not just that, but for your talents and your services. I was just like, That's, well, gosh, golly darn gee willigers, you're right. So it was difficult for me to have that kind of like revealed to me. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, okay, what am I worth? She was like, now I charge myself this much. And I was just like, whoa, that's quite a bit. And she goes, no, that's how much I think I'm worth. Now, are you worth that much? And I was like, I don't know. She was like, not with that confidence. Your lack of confidence in how much you think you're worth is not going to stand out in your pricing because you're not confident in your pricing. So when you start to haggle, like I mentioned before, you're letting the customer know that you're not confident in your pricing and you're willing to go down in your cost and you're willing to reduce the amount of money that you're going to pay yourself. So I pay myself $10 an hour and I stick to that average. Why? Because I'm a vendor. I do farmers markets and I also sell on Facebook. Now, I've had people come in and be like, oh, I'm willing to pay it. I'm absolutely willing to pay it. Why? Because my grandmother did it. My mother does it. My sister does it. I know how much they struggle. So that you're going to have understanding people come into your booth or understanding people that you're going to encounter while you're selling your products. And they're going to be willing to pay those prices because they know what you're worth. Do you know what you're worth? Are you willing to stand confident in what you think you're worth when it comes to pricing your items? Now, I'm not doing this to shake you. And I'm not doing this to sway you into doing things my way. This is not how I'm trying to do this. I am just trying to encourage you. What do you guys think you're worth? Are you worth the cost of your item or just the cost and supplies? Now, people are going to be like, well, when you drive to an event, like I mentioned last week, you have to put the cost in gas, okay? And how much are you paying yourself per hour to be there at that event? And that is going to be taken out of what you made at that event. So pricing comes in a lot of different ways. So now that you know how much your supplies cost, okay? You know, when we talked about the scrunchies, you guys know how much your supplies cost and how many you can get out of it. And you've priced each item according to the supply cost. Now add in how much you're worth. Add in that much. So it takes me about 15 minutes to make a regular size scrunchie, and then it takes me about 20 minutes, 25-ish, to make a XL scrunchie. I figure out, so it's a quarter of an hour that it takes me to a regular size scrunchie. And I take that from the $10 and I add that into my cost of my scrunchie, and I come out to $6. Now I've raised, they were $5 prior, but I've raised the price because supplies have gone up. Now here's another thing that I learned is that never price your supplies the sale price. Always price your supplies full price. Why? Because they're not always going to be on sale when you need them. Anytime you need them, yes, you can have a coupon. You can have a sale or a clearance. They're not going to always be available at a sale or clearance price. So always charge full price when you're adding up your cost of your supplies. Never go back to that sale price again, because it's just a benefit for you. It's just an extra for you. And I know that seems selfish, but it's real, you guys. I'm being real here, okay? I'm being absolutely 110% real. What are you worth? What are you worth? It's okay, fine and dandy for you to break even. If you want to break even and only charge cost of supplies. Well, I only pay for that much. Okay, but what are you paying yourself per hour? Because that's your takeaway. That's going to go back into your cost of living, into whatever you're using that for. Okay. Now, when I had my live last month, I made a substantial amount more than I thought that I was going to make. And I was over the moon ecstatic, and I was just like floored. Okay. Now, I took away how much it cost me to pay for all the supplies. I took away how much I was willing to pay myself per hour, and my takeaway was this much. Now, I'm not going to get into how much I did make and how much I took away from that, but let me just tell you that it was worth the live. It was worth doing the live. So I have learned over my mass quantity of years how to price my items. Because if you look at it from a consumer standpoint, are you willing to pay that price? Most of the time we're not. Like if I go to a booth space and I know this person has handmade their items and they're totally worth the price, I'm willing to pay sometimes even more than cost of what they're charging, because I know that they're not pricing it correctly. Now, I've had customers do that for me before as well, where they come up to me. I had a friend who was coming down from Texas. Him and his wife were coming down, and I'd known them for years. And they came to come visit for my birthday, and I was so excited. He calls me and he's just like, hey, I want to buy my wife one of your purses. Can you make one in these colors? I said, yeah, no problem. So I make it, and he was just like, okay, how much? And I was like, $40. And he was like, dude, you're serious? I said, yeah. He was like, how long did it take you to make it? Now, he's a marketer. He is a marketer, and he knows how to price things. And he was my first experience when it came to how much am I worth? Okay, so how much are you guys worth? He doubled the price that I was offering, and he gave me what he thought I was worth. So he paid $80 for that purse because he was like, this is what your item is worth, and this is what you're worth. And that was my first experience of what are you worth? I didn't really think about that. I thought I was just like, oh man, praise the Lord. I was just blessed. This is amazing. Thank you, Jesus. You know, I was just like in good spirits. And then 10 years later, I get the lesson and a reminder again. So here is your lesson and reminder, you guys. What are you worth? Not just the cost of supplies, because you're getting it back. That's all you're getting back. You're just getting the money back that you put into your product. That's it. What are you worth? What are you willing to pay yourself per hour? Also, take a stand. Don't let your customers bully you into lowering your prices for them, or don't feel guilty for pricing your items at that cost. Why? Because there's people like me, people like Rose, all right, Lisa from Happy to Creations, other vendors out there that do this on a regular basis. They price their items because they know what they're worth. They know exactly what they're worth on top of their cost of supplies and how long it took them to make it. Now, our craft, crochet, is a unique craft. And those of you that sew just like me, I grew up with all the crafting things, okay? I've done it all. I have watched my mom make and lose money. I have seen my grandmother upset because she didn't make any money at all. And I have experienced the turmoil of witnessing people that I love go through the ups and downs. And it's my turn right now because market is not doing so well for me. No matter how many times that I rotate my items out from season to season or from holiday to holiday, no matter whether I take breaks off or whether I switch my things around so that everybody has a different view every time they come to my booth space. I've done all the tips and tricks that I've given you guys. And sometimes even a seasoned, experienced vendor such as myself runs on hard time. So perfect example, you guys, is me. Now I'm not a professional. No matter how much experience that I have, it doesn't make me a professional. It just makes me an experienced person in my craft. And never let yourself get overconfident or too puffed up. What does 1 Corinthians 13 say? I remind myself that, you know, and it used to be difficult for me to talk about pricing, but I've had to be more used to it because I am a vendor. And if you're willing to get into vending, if you're willing to get into markets and the like, you're going to have to get used to talking and breaking things down for yourself. And you're going to have to ask yourself every time you make a product, what am I worth? So you guys, what are you worth? I hope that this video was extremely helpful to you guys. I have a whole bunch to do today, and so this video is going to be shorter than normal. I do have to take off and go get my son to school. All right, you guys, thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to ring that notification bell. Click on the all button to notify you when I drop another video. You guys have a blessed rest of your Wednesday and a blessed rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Peace out. I just had to look at the size really quick. I feel like, what size are these? Size 8. Now, my scrunchies. We all know that eat breakfast. For example, you guys, my scrunchies, okay? Now, we all know the conclusion and realization that I came to, and it was a hard revelation that I came. Now, the hard pill that I had to swallow. Also, take a stand. Don't let customers bully you into, or I still can't focus. I know. Okay, tell me when it's 8:50. Okay. I can't focus right now. I'm too worried about whether I'm going to have enough time to leave here and go take my son to school.